Today on FJI, soldiers care for detainees, and a father and two sons serve together in theater. Welcome to this edition of Freedom Journal Iraq. I'm PFC Chris Urbano. Over the last 4 years, the coalition has detained thousands of suspects in Iraq. The Iraqi justice system has taken responsibility for more prisoners, but coalition forces still ensure detainees are given proper care. Staff Sergeant David Baez has more.
Welcome to the DHA-A Annex, Camp Liberty. The OSC is
One of the important jobs in Iraq lies inside detention facility gates. The 299th Forward Support Battalion has the task of maintaining proper care for detainees who have arrived from various places in Iraq.
At all times, we treat them with dignity and respect. Geneva Convention and Hague Convention. We have to. You don't know if these guys are innocent or if they're guilty, and that's not our job to decide that. So we actually have to treat them with dignity and respect, and, they ask for water, we give them a water. They ask for something, we give it to them.
The detainees follow a strict daily schedule. From the moment they enter the facility, the troops monitor them and ensure they receive quality treatment.
These 3 showers right here are the detainee showers. They go ahead and strip them down, do a strip search on them, put them in the shower, make sure they have a bath. They get their hair washed, the whole 9 yards, stuff that they don't normally get, being out in the country.
While this may not be a glamorous mission, it is still a necessity to ensure criminals are taken off the streets. It also bears the task of making sure they get the fair treatment of a democratic nation. Army Sergeant David Baez, Camp Liberty, Iraq.
A large portion of reconstruction work in Iraq is done by Iraqis. Julie Cuppernall introduces us to an engineer who looks forward to the day when he can show his face and talk about the great work he's completed for his people.
This is the Baghdad Central Railway Station. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Gulf Region Division dedicated 2.5 years and more than $6.3 million to bring it into the 21st century. But the investment goes even deeper for one Iraqi engineer.
Baghdad Central Railway Station is my baby. I started as a QA on that project, first when I worked for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and that was back in 2004, August.
From then until today, the Corps has installed a fire and smoke detection and suppression system, a new heating and cooling system, and a state-of-the-art communication system. The current security situation makes it dangerous for this proud Gulf Region Division Iraqi engineer to show his face, but it doesn't keep him from talking about the accomplishments here.
So in my opinion, the first most important thing is the sewer system, which is very, very useful and needed for this facility. Because it is not having a good maintenance for a while, people was dumping the waste to the basement. So we have established a new sewer system for the whole facility.
And maybe one of the biggest points of pride is how many of his fellow countrymen will be affected by this project.
Baghdad train station is the key for the transportation, train transportation in the country, controlling from up north to down south, from west to east. I can say when it became secure and I can talk, I will go inside the train station. I said, I built this, I did this, and tell everybody of what I did.
For the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Iraq, I'm Julie Cuppernall.
After the break, a father and two sons serve together in theater. Stay with us. For the regional headline update, we check in with specialist Charles McLaughlin at the news desk.
The 25th Infantry Division Headquarters and 25th Special Troops Battalion have been extended 46 days in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The extension will affect approximately 1,000 soldiers from the Hawaii-based unit currently serving in Iraq. The soldiers were deployed in July and August of 2006. Coalition forces captured a total of 9 suspected terrorists Wednesday during operations targeting al-Qaeda in Iraq and foreign fighter facilitators. The forces raided 2 known foreign fighter safe houses, capturing 4 suspects north of Mosul. In Habaniya, they detained 3 more suspected foreign fighter facilitators. And southwest of Karma, the troops captured the remaining 2 terrorists with alleged ties to al-Qaeda in Iraq. Coalition forces killed 8 terrorists, detained 13 suspects, and destroyed 2 explosives production facilities and weapons caches last week. The 4-day operation began March 30th in Arab Jabor and targeted al-Qaeda in Iraq terrorists. Among the weapons caches, the troops found 6 anti-aircraft heavy machine guns, 150 rocket-propelled grenades, and several hundred mortar rounds. No civilians were injured during the 4-day operation. With headlines from around the region, I'm Specialist Charles McLaughlin.
Many families have multiple members serving in the military. Some may even have more than one loved one deployed at the same time. Specialist Brad Latham introduces us to a family in an even more unique situation.
Meet First Sergeant Thomas Mize, Sergeant Thomas Mize, and Staff Sergeant Jody Mize. This father and 2 son trios stationed at Kuwait Naval Base collectively call themselves Mize Incorporated. It's not very often that one sees 2 sons and a father serving overseas in the same unit, but the Mize guys say this is nothing new to them.
3rd time. We went, one was a stateside mission for a year, Noble Eagle, and then we were all 3 down for Hurricane Katrina down there also, and this one here makes 3. This first overseas deployment together though.
It's one thing to serve with your father in the same unit, but the boys say having your dad as the first sergeant is a different kind of beast.
Sometimes people think you got it easier, but yeah, I think you actually get a little worse because you get no slack whatsoever, you know, as opposed to what some other people might get, you know. But just because, you know, you're who you are, then they don't want to make sure he doesn't show any favoritism. He definitely doesn't do that.
One of the few things, I go up there, hear somebody come up to him and say, hey, go ask your dad if we can do such and such, or maybe we need to go to MWR. Go ask your dad. Holy cow, that's the wrong thing to say. It's right off the bat. That ain't my dad. That is the first sergeant. Don't even start playing that game with me, you know. And that makes me feel good there, to know that they're not trying to abuse the system by no means. And I wouldn't let them anyway, as far as that goes, you know.
Being the youngest son here is a challenge. Staff Sergeant Mize says it's always interesting.
This guy right here motivated me into it. He's the one that talked me into it. He liked it. He told me about all the college money and all that other stuff, so I figured I'd go ahead and join. It's a little different, you know. Get to tell him what to do. He doesn't really listen, though. So we've always got along. We don't really fight or bicker or argue like, you know, I guess most brothers do, so I don't really have a problem with it. I don't think I've ever had to pull rank on him. I mean, it's kind of a mutual understanding, you know. If something has to get done, then, hey, it has to get done. It's not like I have to watch him or make sure he gets it done. It's just, hey, this has to be done. He takes the initiative and does it.
With 27 years of service under his belt, First Sergeant Mize says the 3rd deployment may be the last.
Mama back home? Yeah, she thinks it is.
He's getting kind of old, you know.
I mean, you know, I'm working on 27 years now. I'm not going to say a definite, but it's a good possibility this to be the big last hurrah for all 3 of us there.
There is a 3rd son back in Arkansas, but he hasn't any plans to go to the Army. First Sergeant Mize says that's fine. He's got his hands full enough. From Kuwait Naval Base, I'm Specialist Brad Latham.
On the next edition of Freedom Journal Iraq, Sergeant Frank Pellegrini gives us an in-depth look at a joint security station.
It's going. Slowly but surely. It's one of those 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing.
And that does it for this edition of Freedom Journal Iraq. Tune in next time for more stories from the front lines of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Until then, from all of us here at AFN and Freedom Journal Iraq, stay safe out there.